You know, truth is that a lot of us look for love in ways that don't even make sense, and we do the same mistakes and expect a different outcome. We go into the world and give into it an energy or give to it a certain behavior, and we're sort of we act like we don't understand when we get it back. And at the beginning of it is that, well, where it starts is that we do a lot of things that bring us away from who we are, bring us away from a feeling of self. And the problem with that is that how are you gonna go about you escaping yourself and expect somebody else to accept it? And the main issue with that is that if you can't even stand your own self, you can't even stand for you to actually be in place. You can't even expect for you can even have yourself, be with you. How are you gonna have somebody else do the same? How are you gonna sell yourself onto anybody else? How are you gonna sell anybody on you? And that's really what it comes down to, is this ability to just appreciate and take care of who we are, and to be a deeper version of that, to have more clarity within that. But if the clarity itself of being who you are is such an unbearable experience, then that's what you're selling people on. That's how people are going to treat you. That's what you're going to get back, because that's all you can process. And so you'll guide people to treat you the same way that you do with you. And it's like culture a lot. In certain cultures, some things are good. In some cultures, some things are bad. But when you're part of the culture and you want to be part of the culture, where you learn to treat things like the culture does. And so by our actions, by how we talk about ourselves, by how we deal with ourselves, and how we do all of these things, we end up creating a culture. And that culture is the one that we give to people. And then people are like, okay, well, maybe that's what it means to be you. I guess that's what it means to be you, because that's all I get from you. And the question is just, well, what is that culture that you give to people? What does that say? Does that say something which you want to hear? Does that say something which, you know, treats you in a way that is something that you want to happen more? Or does it not? And unless you're sort of sold on who you are, and you're 100% with you, and you take care of you in a good way, and you have that feeling like that, then you won't be able to find love outside in people that, in a way, like you're looking for it, because you're looking for things that really you can't even tolerate yourself, right? If every time you have a feeling of clarity or a feeling of sense of self, you end up sort of struggling to stay in place, and struggling to actually even be present, then how does it make sense that you want other people to spend time with you? How does it make sense to want for more people to like you? How does it make sense for you to want people to want us, be around you? And that's really what it comes down to, as far as love. But sometimes we got this game sort of misconstrued, and we think it comes from people, but it really doesn't. It really doesn't, because it's like the example I used with a friend the other day, is that if it's like somebody wants to pay with Visa and you don't accept Visa, people would like to treat you well, and to give you love, and the world would like to offer you that, but you don't even take that payment process. You don't even have that system in place. And what we're trying to do is just build the system in place so that you can at least know what that is. You can accept it. You can use it. You can use credit. You can use this card, whatever, etc., etc. And but unless you create that and you have that in place, you won't be able to find it. It is right there. It always is right there, but you won't be able to actually use it, because of how you don't have it. You don't have what it takes. You don't have the infrastructure to know what that is and how to use it. So there are things that we can do to solve this, right? It's to learn to not escape who we are, to not escape that feeling of self, to not escape clarity and all these things that bring us closer to us. You can just learn to to be able to be more of you and make a habit out of taking actions which bring you closer to you, and not actions which bring you more distance from who you are. And you can start to not use alcohol or drugs or whatever to escape a feeling which you have, because by escaping the feeling you're refusing to face you. And if you're refusing to be with you and to heal the things that you're going through and to deal with that, then who will? Nobody can. And so what are you really doing there? You're really saying, I don't want to deal with that, and so I'm gonna walk away from I'm gonna go away from me. I'm gonna go away from this. And that's what people do too, right? If I go into your house and there's a corner that's a mess, but it's actually terrible, well, and every time you go there you just ignore it. Well, people will do the same, right? People will be like, okay, I guess this is normal, and then we'll just walk away around it. But if as soon as there's something off, you take action, you don't like for small things to be on the floor, and you pick them out and you move on, and you make everything clean, and you don't let things pile up. When people leave some type of crumbs or some type of mess, they'll feel more likely to deal with it, because they're like, oh, this is the culture here. So yeah, I think that's really what it comes down to. Just being able to do for ourselves what we'd like for people to do for us. And at first, well, it has to start with ourselves. And so what I'm saying is, unless you do that change and you do that, you do that way of thinking, you do that behavior which you need to do for yourself, you're not going to get anything different from people outside.